everyone, and welcome to Tal Talks. I'm Tal. This is Fantasy February, and we have a really special guest with us who did a show earlier on in the month for us, which was really great, and I hope you got a chance to see it, and if not, you can actually find it on our YouTube. This is the Minstel Rav'n. Why don't you say hello to everyone and introduce yourself?
Hi, Tal. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, everyone. I am the Minstrel Rav'n, telling songs and singing stories of pirates, taverns, and yes, elven lasses.
I love it because everyone who does Ren fairs has their own little intro, and I feel like it's so much better. Like I'm just with this, person. and everyone's like, oh no, I have this really great introduction. But yeah, that was good.
I stay up at night practicing that. I'll wake up at 2 a.m. and I can't sleep because I've got to get each word enunciated. No, I'm kidding.
Looking in the mirror, like, did I say that?
I do. I walk around the living room. I've got my mandolin on, and I'm practicing that line because it's got to be perfect. You only get one chance to make a first impression on a stage.
So make sure you make a bad one right off the bat.
Yes.
All right. So how would you describe your musical act to people who haven't seen you before?
Exactly what we just had happen right there. There is no planning. So people ask me all the time, how do you describe your act? Well, if Jack Sparrow and Bret Michaels and Cher had a relationship, the resulting child was raised by Prince. And that's kind of my act.
Where the purple comes from.
Yeah. I had a guy come up to me after a show and he's like, hey, I don't mean to make fun of you, but dude, you remind me of Prince. I'm like, thank you. It's the biggest compliment.
Yeah, that is a pretty good compliment, honestly. Especially if you sound like Prince.
Well, I don't quite sound like him.
No, not so much.
It's the whole great thing.
So what kind of music do you play / sing?
That's actually it's everything. I can start the day, and usually at a festival, I'll start the day with a family friendly. I do a song on my first album called Ari's Day, which is literally about a little 1-year-old's very first Renaissance festival. And so I start the day with a couple of those family friendly songs. And if there's little children in the audience, I always get their name and I make the song their song. And, I've had parents message me afterwards going, oh my goodness, that was the greatest thing. And I know, because I will tell you the quickest way into someone's wallet is through their child.
It's true. You pull them up on stage.
Yes. But I enjoy singing to the children. Someone's asked me once, which part of your show you like? The one I'm doing, because every show has its own little thing. Then I go into, my version of traditional music, so drinking songs and songs that are influenced by Irish traditional, but I don't do Irish traditional. And then I do a whole pirate set. And at the end of the day, I do a naughty minstrel show.
Now, you write a lot of your own music.
I write everything.
Yeah.
So
you don't ever do any covers?
No. In fact, I've had people request. I'm like, dude, that's $100 for me to learn that right here and now. I mean, no one's taking me up on it. I keep hope. I've got a couple songs that I play. I do a song called, it's now called the Whiskey Medley, where I reference a bunch of drinking songs in there. And I did throw 2 songs, a line, a verse, and a chorus of each song into the medley just to make it a more complete, fun song. And with the TikTok craze coming out right now, I did my own sea shanty. I literally wrote it in 10 minutes. And the sea shanty it starts out with the tune of Candyman, because I woke up with one morning with that in my head, singing Shantyman to Candyman. And I'm like, okay, I have to write this song. So that'll be on the upcoming album. It's called Shantyman, and it starts out there, but then it's just like my drinking song. It references all like 10 different sea shanties in the lyrics.
So you do a decent amount of parodies as well as just your own, or just
no parodies.
No parodies.
Just a couple. Just the and even the Shantyman. I just All it is a pre-verse. That's it. I don't do that. Everything else is mine, but I just, when you're a solo act and you're performing on a stage, there's no way I can compete with a 3-person or a 4-person or a 5-person a band, or I just can't. So if I'm doing the same stuff everybody else is doing, it doesn't sound as good as the other people. So I purposely shy away from that. And if someone's like, hey, join us, I'm like, what key is it in? And I'll just fake it.
Yeah, that's most of my job on bass is saying, what key are we in? And I'm just kind of figuring it out.
And they're like going, we're in E minor 7th sus. And you're like, so it's an E, right? Got it.
Yeah. So you did mention that at night you start to play some of your more body set. Could you explain to people, because a lot of people don't know what body music is, and why do you think people enjoy that style specifically at Ren fairs?
Sure. So first, I don't do body music. I prefer the term naughty.
Naughty.
So there's dirty, there's body, there's and naughty, and I know performers that do like some people they're just dirty, like they just do dirty songs, and some do body songs. So for those that don't know, body is innuendo. It's a lot of words that might, the song might say something but means something completely else. And I didn't actually start as a body musician. I started off as like a singer songwriter, singing ballads and children's songs is where I started, but the naughty songs just keep popping out of my head faster than I can record them. And so I'm like, well, I guess that's my calling. And I think the reason why people like them is Renaissance festivals are the last bastion of somewhat politically incorrect. And you can do things there, and it's getting harder in places, but you can do things there that you can't do elsewhere. So I think people, like, I've got a song it's called Body Song. That's the name of the song. And it talks about how, I want to tell you how lovely you are. And I want to tell you how beautiful you are. And I want to play a really pretty song, but you just want to sing about boobs, because people do on both sides. I mean, that's the answer to the question is people just want to sing about boobs. Guys and girls both. Girls louder too.
So I'm assuming you've been going to Renaissance fairs for a long time. What got you into Ren fairs in the first place?
So my parents used to go way back in the before times. You're
not gonna date yourself.
Yeah, like before 2000. And I used to be like, oh yeah, whatever, and so I at the time they invited myself and my wife at the time, and we went, and I saw a couple of guys, and I came away from there going, oh my goodness, this is my tribe. These are my people. Why have I not known about this? And it literally took like 18 years for that to happen before I got to the point where I was going and I was enjoying the shows, and I've got a lot of friends that I've made that are performers. And Jesse Linder was the very first person. He just passed away this last year, but he was the very first person I ever seen perform, and I was just blown away. And so if he was the inspiration, there's a band, and they've actually been out to New York, the Dread Crew of Oddwood.
Yep, I love them. I love them so much.
so they dump gasoline on that spark that Jesse set.
I love that they have that like video with Muppets that they made.
Yes, they're the best. I love those guys, and we're actually going to touch on them a little bit later too.
I find that so I've been playing in a lot of Ren Fair bands for a long time, and I find that the other musicians are always really welcoming and just there to help you right away. They'll just see if there's something going on, and they want to help you have a good show. They don't care about anything else.
It's its own family within the family.
Yeah, which is
Musicians
it's
are
not the same for like rock shows at bars and things because I played in a rock band for a very long time and it was like competitive. People were happy when you were having problems.
I had to learn that because I had that chip on my shoulder, like, well, I'm better than them. Why am I not getting, and that first year I had that mentality. And when guys like Wakefire, Drunken Sailor, Black Murray, when these guys they kind of like stepped up and helped me up, the Dread Crew, man, I was having conversations with Reese about how to set up a show and, like when do you duplicate a song? And it's like the knowledge was like freely given.
Yeah, it's a very different environment.
Yeah, so my hat's off, literally, it's off today. My hat's off to all of those guys because they've done that.
Yeah, I definitely had that experience too. Going from a rock band to a folk band was just like totally different. It was a totally different thing. Although I personally do not like I know you need sound equipment a lot of the time. I hate having sound equipment because everything will go wrong with your sound. Like every single thing you can think of, one little tiny wire might get kinked or something, and then there goes the whole sound.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing I have now is trying to make my batteries last longer than they should.
Yeah.
I've squeaked them out in like the last 5 minutes of the show, the PA battery goes dead. It's like, well, and then I yell.
Fair enough.
So.
Yeah, so weather affects that, all the electric, everything too. It's tough.
I went to carbon fiber instruments this year.
Fair.
Because of the weather.
Yep.
I made the jump, and my first thought was, well, I'm only going to play at certain times. No, everything else sits on the wall now. I just play my carbon fiber octave mandolin. That's it. I got caught in a rainstorm. We did a show.
Oh God.
And it was actually the last show of St. Louis, the very end of the day, the last day. The temperature dropped down to 30 degrees. It was just like dropping, and it was raining. And there was like 7-8 people still there. As long as I was playing, they were sitting there. My hands were frozen. I couldn't feel my fingers. I couldn't feel the frets, but the instrument never went out of tune.
What?
Never went out of tune.
It was a mandolin?
Yeah.
Mandolins start out of tune. How did it?
Well, so it's an octave. I call it a mandolin.
Okay.
It's an octave, so it's bigger. It's guitar size. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the strings eventually got waterlogged, and after that weekend, I had to change the strings, but that was it. It was still in tune. They were waterlogged, but in tune. They just it lost its bright sound. The strings just weren't bright anymore.
Yeah. So I know you're a solo musician, but
yes.
I've seen that you team up with people occasionally. Do you have any people that you've played songs with, and do you have any of them on any of your albums?
I play with as many people as I can because, we've discussed that I'm a solo musician. And it is my greatest thrill to be invited on a stage with someone else, or vice versa. I brought them on stage. So when I write by myself. I write based on what I feel I want to do. But I know when I do an album that if the album is good and someone buys the album, they're going to listen to it a lot of times. It needs to have more body to it. So my first album was called The Minstrel on the Harp, and that literally had a harp on every song, thus the name. Even the drinking songs, I'll do a bit on stage, it'll be like, you'll get to the instrument, I'll go harp solo, and I'll look around, and she's not there, Well, you're gonna have to buy the album because there's a harp solo on drinking songs. The second album, The Purple-Headed Monster, which is the Naughty album, I wanted more, and so I was chatting with the bass player from Wakefire, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'll jump in." I'm like, "Well, how much?" He's like, "Dude, you're not making any money. I'm not making any money. When you become a millionaire, we'll talk. But until then," so he jumps in on the bass end, and so I was, I'm like, I need solos, and I'm not a soloist. I'm a performer. I like to tell people I'm David Lee Roth. I'm not Eddie Van Halen.
Okay.
I'm a dancing clown. I am a performing clown. I'm a squirrel on Red Bull. I am not a musician. All right, I'm a musician. I'm not a virtuoso. So I don't do solos. I might fake them. So Wakefire's got an amazing mandolin player. This guy's like, he's like a idiot savant musician. Guy can play anything. And I said to him, I said, Bubba, I'm like, hey, would you mind? He's like, absolutely. So he jumps in. And I had one song on that album that I wrote. It's a duet called Fugly. And I wrote it from both points of view. Yes, absolutely, Fugly. And I wrote it from his point of view and her point of view. So I messaged their female. They have two vocalists. I messaged their female vocalist. And I said, hey, Nessa, do you want to join me for a song? And I said, Russ and Bubba are coming. She's like, oh, yeah. And they told her that before she got to like, hey, yeah, we see you're going to be joining Dave. Just know that he is extremely naughty, like extremely. And yeah, she was like when she's reading the words, she's like, you could see her blushing. And there's nothing, I mean, I use innuendo, a lot of innuendo, but she was still blushing. But so she joined on that album, and then Bubba and Nessa did all the backup vocals and they made the album. Wakefire did make it sound really good. I'm actually getting ready to do the third album right now, which I'm in the process of recording. I think you might have seen little snippets here and there that I share. And I've got a local percussionist who I've trained from being a cajon player to becoming a percussionist. Not just beating rhythms on the cajon. He's like becoming a drummer.
We can attach other things to the cajon.
Well, what I meant by that is like whatever I'm playing, whatever rhythm I'm playing, that's what he's playing. There's no stops. There's no fills where they're, it's not a timepiece. So he's become a timepiece, and he's amazing now, getting better every day. So he's doing some stuff on there. And then, Musical Blades?
No, I don't think so.
So Musical Blades is a huge band out of Kansas. They're like 30 year musicians. One of the guys, Saucy Jack Tar, is doing all the electric guitar. I've got 3 or 4 songs that are going to be like really rockabilly. And that's so cool. He's doing that. There's a pirate out of Louisiana that's coming up, Gary. And he's coming up to lay the bass down on the songs I've not laid the bass down. And then there's a hurdy-gurdy player at Bristol called the Manicore Consort, and I've sent her a song. She's going to be adding hurdy-gurdy on one song.
Very neat.
And the violin player from Black Murray, she was in Wakefire, and the original harpists are jumping in on a couple songs.
Wow, you're getting people from everywhere.
Matt Young, the Pride of Ireland, is jumping in to do the backup vocals on my Shantyman song.
Oh, cool.
And the coup de grace, Reese from the Dread Crew, the accordion player.
Oh, yay.
And the original drummer, Drew, who was Castle, guy that played the Odd Kit, who's probably who you saw.
Yeah.
He's doing percussion on 2 songs, and Reese is adding accordion on a song.
That's so awesome.
So, and I've reached out to these guys, and I've said, like, everybody's got their stuff. It's like, I'm to that point now where everybody's got their stuff. And if I've got to chase them down to have them do it, or do it, I don't care. So I'll take all these pieces and bits and pieces, and I've been recording at home, but I'll go to the studio that I use and have him put it together right.
Now, I really want to talk about all of the gear and stuff you have going on. You have this purple theme that I want to ask where this is coming from.
Wait, I wear purple? Wait, what? Whoa, nobody told me.
And you have, it seems like, some interesting props that you can see. Can you talk about them a little bit, where they're coming from, what all this is?
So when I was growing up, reds and blues are great, and but I never really had that favorite color, right? And so I had a customer when I had a real job, and he had this Corvette that was like a midnight blue, but depending on the way the sun hit it, it went from midnight blue to black to purple. And when it went to purple in the shade, I went, oh, that's my color. Like, I fell in love with the color purple. And so, like, playing computer games, I play D&D on the computer. Everything gets shaded purple. Everything I do gets shaded purple. I mean, people tag me in posts about purple. It's that bad. When the purple houses pop up, they send them to me on Facebook. They're like, hey, you need to live here. Well, of course I do. Who's going to pay for it? So that's the reason for the color. And then when I was a LARPer, like a lot of what I do started there. Like all the songs that I write, 90% of the songs I write have a story involved. Thus, my telling songs, singing stories are about adventures LARPing. And there's Easter eggs throughout my songs. One song, they'll have a line going into another song and it'll reference another song. All that came from LARPing, which is where my color schemes came from, where the character itself came from, right down to the eye patch. I was a bad boy and crossed some wrong people and had an eye popped out. And I already had this reputation of looking like Jarlaxle. And when I got the eye like popped out and I had to get an eye patch, I went, oh crap, I am Jarlaxle. So I had to have a matched eye patch. Well, that meant having a really good eye patch made. And when I came to the Renaissance side of things, I asked the people, I'm like, so do I get rid of the eye patch? Do I keep the eye patch? And they're like, oh, no, you keep the eye patch. So the kazoo, which is a little thing that, it's actually, it's the Purple-Headed Monster song is about a kazoo. And actually I have those, like, that's part of the stuff the merch I sell is logoed kazoos.
Nice.
So like my buddy
everyone
here,
needs a kazoo, honestly.
Right? My buddy here, little Raveling, doesn't he look like Dark Crystal Gelfling?
Oh yeah, he totally does.
So I have dolls. They're called Cuddle Me Raven dolls that are little dolls, and I sell them to parents for kids. I sell them to ladies. The line. Everybody's got their $20 line, right? Like, one for $20. Mine is, ladies, for $20 you can take me home and cuddle all night long. And I've got him sitting there on my little crate, and I lift him up, and put him right next to me. He's got his little eye patch on there. And so a couple years ago for Christmas, I wanted to do the 12 days of Minstrelmas 2 years ago. And I'm like, people send me like take your Cuddle Me Raven and do things with them and send me pictures.
Oh no.
And the people that make those in Michigan, because they're all handmade in Michigan, said they like posted, here, hold my beer. And that's all they said. And they were the ones that actually made, he's posable, he's got a little mandolin, he's got a little kazoo hanging there. So he just goes to shows and sits on my crate, like, hey, look at me. The other things are all like, that's just like on my hat. I'm sure you've seen all the buttons. Those are actual other performers.
Yeah.
Like if you have influenced me and if you've been a part of what I do, I show that by wearing your pin someplace on me so people can see. So, and then all the scarves, like there's a big boa on my hat. And the boa was a swap for one of my I have purple matching scarves. I swapped an act, another performer, one of my matching purple scarves for her boa, and the boa went on the hat, and it's on there.
That's great.
So, and I just keep collecting things, and I don't have all the necklaces on, but anytime I get a gift from someone, it goes part of me. Pretty soon I won't be able to wear the hat because there'll be too many gifts on there and my head will crush.
I really wish you could come to our fair this year. We'll have to get you next time.
Yeah, that's the one weekend where I actually have to like work. I so want to be there.
Because I was thinking about our winter queen she wears purple and she gives her favor out to someone.
She's already hot. She's already hot.
Yeah, I mean, well, cold because she's the winter queen. But yeah, I'm sure she would see all the purple and be like, oh, this one must have my favor.
And there's a trick to purple too. Like you see purple and they wear like a shade. I do a joke about, 50 shades of, I literally, depending on which outfit I'm wearing on, because I have a lot of different outfits, this part stays the same, but shirts change, vests change, boots change. At one point I counted 28 shades of purple.
Oh man.
It's all about layers and shades. And people are like, well, what color? I'm like, I don't care.
Well, Ren fairs, it's important to have layers for a bunch of reasons. The weather obviously can shift at any moment and suddenly it can be freezing or it could suddenly get really hot. So you have to make sure that you have things that can go on and off quickly. But
the rock socks.
Yes. But also like getting dirty. I mean, gross stuff gets on you sometimes and you just want to throw off a layer and put something else on.
Or someone's got a hickey on their neck that's not from you, and you want to cover that up, so you give them one of your scarves. Never happened to another performer.
When they enjoy what they're doing, you can tell, and it makes a totally different experience.
Yeah, my merchant last, Rebecca, this year, we had that discussion all the time. The show that you see on stage is for us. We don't you guys just get the benefit from us having a good time. Because that's really, as long as you're having a good time, that translates to anything and everything. And, you never want to be that person too, where you step out and you don't give that 100%, because you never know who's watching you, and you never know who needs you at that moment. They're going through something in their life. And I've heard stories from other acts, where they have affected people's lives. And I just I get overclamped. I do, but no, seriously, I do. Because I've seen it happen. And, so here, back to the funny story. I do a bit now with children where I bring them a child up during one of my sets to play the foot drum, and it's all rock and roll and like that. And I get the kid who's got his devil horns up and he's banging his head. So the father messages me after that weekend was over. He's like, "Hey, you were amazing. Oliver just absolutely loves you. You were the greatest thing of the weekend." I'm like, "Oh, thank you so much." He goes, "I want to send you a present." I'm like, "Okay." He goes, "Should I send it to the fair? Should I send it to your house?" I'm like, "Send it to the house. You're in Missouri. I live up by Chicago. If you're going to stalk me, you're going to stalk me no matter what." So the next weekend we get back from festival, and I'm getting the mail, and there's this box, and I open it up and I pull it out. Matching purple mace gun and taser. Because we just made that kid's day. We made his whole day.
It's so weird though.
Yeah, right? They are purple though. They are purple. I give Rebecca hers, and I open up the taser, and I push the little button. I dropped it. I'm like, whoa. I put it in the drawer. And he will probably watch this video when it goes live too. He's like one of those fans. He's like, "Yeah, I'm there." So, you know what I'm talking about, buddy? Thank you so much for the purple taser.
Now you're all set. You have everything. Yeah. Everything is purple.
Yeah. I never thought I would have a purple taser.
All right. Well, it has come to the time
that I'm dreading the most.
I make you do a tongue twister that you haven't seen yet. I'm putting it in the chat.
Okay.
And I'm going to go ahead and send it.
Okay.
You can take a second to look at it and then try to say it as fast as you can.
Can you pop that up again? I can't read the chat. It's gone.
Oh. Let's see.
It pops up and it goes away.
That's weird.
Felix found fellow fairies flitting. Felix found fellow fairies flitting. Felix found fairy. Never mind. I tried to turn it into a poem. Felix found something fairies flitting. Pop it up one more time. I'll get it. I get it. I promise.
Okay.
Felix. Oh, I was going to read the top line. Felix found fellow fairies flitting. I want to say flirting because, all right, I failed. And you know what? It's hard following Stephanie last week. Those girls just nailed
it's the same. It's the same one.
Was it really?
Yeah, I do the same one for the whole month.
Darn it! I could have gone back and written a whole song on that. You'd be like, "Here, do this tongue twister." I'm like, "Hold on a second, let me get the mandolin out."
Well, that was Marv's tongue twister challenge, and even though you didn't get through all of it, it was a valiant effort. Go ahead and tell everyone what you have going on, where they can get your CDs, where they can find you, everything.
Sure. So you can find me all over social media, Instagram, and Facebook at the Minstel Rav'n, RAVN. There's no E in there, or RAV', depending. So Instagram _ the underscore Minstrel _ Rav'n. Look for the big purple hat. On Spotify, iTunes, Apple Play, Google, YouTube, I'm there as well. I have 2 albums out. the best way is just message me, and I send the stuff out. The newest album will be out sometime before summer because there's a whole lot of stuff still going on behind the scenes. It'll be called Tales, Tails, Tales from the Sea. I've got this spelling problem. And it's based around mermaids, Sirens of the Bay is like kind of like the key song on that. So it's Tales from the Sea. And it's a bunch of seafaring songs and rock and roll kind of seafaring songs and pretend seafaring songs. And that'll be the next album out. And you can just find me on Facebook at the Minstel Rav'n. And if you follow me there, you'll stay up to all the things. I post everything I do there. Like I wake up and, like have coffee and I post it on Facebook. Like, guys, I'm having coffee.
All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us and tell us all of your stories, even the not so family friendly ones that I will probably edit out a little bit. Maybe our patrons will get to see it on our Patreon
so we've got like 45 minutes of content. You guys are going to get 15 minutes. She's like, ooh, this is more dangerous than I thought. Oh my goodness.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And I hope that we will get to see you at our fair someday, not just online.
We will do something. And I whatever your next quarter fair is, I've done 3 so far. Got to get into like the next quarter, that last quarter. We're going to do that too. Find something fun. And I'll come up with a whole new show.
That's awesome.
Thanks, Tal. Appreciate it.
Thanks so
everybody.
Much. Bye.
Bye-bye. During the show. And this was a show where this was a crazy show. We had you're supposed to everybody tells me well, these smokers, you're going to have 10, 20 people. I had 50 people, 60 people.